Hi everyone, my name is King Ivy and this is a custom Excel workshop, and today we'll be covering how to use GoalSeek. So GoalSeek is a really useful tool to really help uncover the relationships between an input variable and the final output. It really helps you to understand what targets how do I need to change this underlying component in order to actually meet this overall target. So here, what we're going to do here is we have a financial model, obviously a very simplified one, but pretty common. So we have revenue, we have cost of sales here, we have operating expenses, then we have this final net income, and then we have total income, which is basically just the sum of the incomes from all the 6 years. And we have these assumptions up here, including growth rate of the revenue, cost, how much is cost of sales relative to revenue. We have operating expenses. It's made up of a fixed amount and a percentage of revenue. So if, for example, I wanted to get a target, understand what do I need to do to change this total income from 2,281 to 5,000, and I want to do that by changing my growth rate. All you have to do is set those variables here, press OK. Then it's going to stop. It's going to show me that my growth rate needs to be about 25, just over 25% to actually achieve this target of net income of $5,000. So if, for example, I want to change it again and I want to keep that growth rate, but I want to change my amount to say 6,000, but instead of changing my growth rate, I want to change my cost of sales. I could then select my cost of sales as my changing cell, and then it's going to run a bunch of different algorithms to try to figure out and target around this particular amount until it actually achieves the target. So that's good, really useful, really handy. I think a really powerful tool to help you change your underlying components, especially if you have your Excel models all linked up. It's a really useful modeling tool. But let's go ahead and go with this example of a more enhanced example of where, for example, maybe we want to include some variability. So here I include just some like normal variability. So plus or minus 15%, plus or minus 10% on cost of sales and growth. And you'll see how I've incorporated here. I basically did a ran between times these by 100. So I did 100 minus 15% times 100. So that'd be 85 to 115 divided by 100. So I get whatever, 0.85 to 0.15 of whatever the previous formula was. And say, for example, I have a target of 5,000. But the problem here is that it's pretty unlikely, given all this variability, that I'm actually going to be able to achieve an exact target of 5,000 for total income. So what I did instead was I had this formula which says that as soon as the total income is greater than the target, make it a 0, otherwise make it a 1. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to do a goal seek. And this is a workaround version. There are better ways where you can set up scenarios where it's going to say it's going to be greater than amount, and then you can put a whole bunch of different constraints. If there's enough demand for that, I'll definitely produce a video for it. So just let me know in the comments if that's something that you're interested in, not only changing one component, but also changing multiple, including constraints saying that, well, growth rate can only go up to this high, cost of sales can only be this low, etc., etc. So here, what we're going to do here is I want the target to be 0, because as soon as it's 0, that means my total income's greater than 5,000, and I want to do it by changing the growth rate, and the growth rate is going to take in consideration all the variability. So you're going to see it's going to take a little bit longer to run, because it also has to randomize all these different amounts here. So it's going to produce one that's between 85%, 115%. And you can see how that impacts all the different amounts. If I were to type something else, it would actually change my total income. So just a useful tool to understand and how you can simply and easily incorporate variability, because it's pretty unlikely that if, for example, someone tells you that the growth rate's going to be 10%, the economy is going to grow by 10% as an example input. That's really not 10%. 10% is the best guess. It's maybe the mean. But maybe, for example, you want to include, okay, give me the range of the 95% confidence interval, or give me the range of the interquartile range, which will give me a chance to include this variability and understand how that variability may impact my targets. And obviously, we can get to more complicated examples using in Excel, such as Monte Carlo, but we'll cover that in another video. If there's enough demand and interest, I'm more than happy to cover that off. So if you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave it in the comment section below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I look forward to speaking to you next time. Thank you.